So the topic we are going to start today is networking techniques for project management. So here we will be discussing two techniques, that is PERT and CPM. PERT stands for Project Evaluation Review Technique and CPM stands for Critical Path Method. Right. So let's understand first what are networking techniques, right? Why we call it networking techniques. So a project is composed of various interrelated activities. You know, till time we have discussed a lot of topic where the bottom line was divide the whole task into smaller activities, and then you can make a flow chart that first activity A has to be completed, then activity B, then activity C, then D, E, and so on, right? So in networking technique also, what we do is we first of all identify what are the activities to be done, right? We divide the whole task into smaller activities, right? So it is necessary to perform these activities in a sequence. Then once you divide the whole task into smaller activities, you have to understand that each and every activity has to be performed in a sequence, right? So sequence has to be maintained for sure. It is natural to estimate accurately the cost and time involved in the implementation of various activities in order so that the resources can be utilized at an optimum level and the project can be completed in the predetermined time at the estimated cost. So the second step in networking techniques is to identify what is the time and cost involved in each activity. For example, you have divided the whole task into four activities A, B, C, D. Now what do you have to do? You have to identify the time and cost for activity A, B, C and D, right? Then the third step is this analysis will require a network. Now what we will do, we will make a network. It's like a flow chart, but flow chart is comparatively a simpler form of networking. But in case of PERT and CPM, or we call it networking techniques, the network analysis is a bit, complex. So this can be depicted very easily through a diagram taking into consideration the situation of various activities. Why, this diagram or this network is a bit complex? Because in flowchart we do not consider, activities which have to be completed simultaneously. But in networks, what do? We complete an activity simultaneously as well, right? So once we'll take an example, then you will be more clearer about it. Then the diagram will also make it clear that which activity should be performed first and which is to be performed later on, and how much time is required to do the same. So the bottom line is, why do we make PERT CPM? Why do we make networks? The simplest answer is to minimize cost and time, right? So the basic purpose behind networking technique is to minimize, of course, to uh, s- uh, to smooth the process, to complete the process in a systematic way. That is all needed. But the most important thing for why we follow networking technique is to minimize cost and time, right? So, as I told you, there are two techniques, although these two techniques are interrelated and applied simultaneously, but still we call it two techniques. The first one is program evaluation review technique, that is called PERT, and the second technique is CPM, that is called critical path method. Although these two techniques are applied simultaneously in single question or situation, right? Then let's first understand the concept of program evaluation and review technique. How do we use it? So let us first understand what is program evaluation review technique. So this method is used to examine the tasks that are in a schedule and determine a variation in the critical path method. So in very simple terms, we can say that PERT is to identify different tasks, right? What all activities have to be performed, right? And we will schedule, we will arrange the activities in an order. Like first, for example, I'll just give you an example. For example, you want to manufacture a mobile phone. So what you will do first, probably you can design it. Then you will assemble the parts. Then you will start production, right? Then you will send it to distributors, and then it will be sold, right? So these are 4 to 5 activities, and what we will do here in PERT, we will arrange these activities in a order, right? So it analyzes the time required. So second, very important in PERT is, like I have told you about 3 to 4 activities. All the activities have to be assigned some time also, and that time should not be any random time. That time should be a proper estimated time. So just identifying activities is not sufficient. You also have to assign time, right? Without assigning time in PERT, in program evaluation review technique, there is no use, right? But this is the basic difference between a flowchart and a networking technique. In flowchart, we do not assign time to each activity, but here in PERT, we assign times to all the activities, right? So we will assign time to all the activities, and its associated dependencies to determine the minimum time to complete a project. So here they also identify what is the dependency of one activity on another. There may be certain activities which cannot be started without prior to the previous activity be completed, right? So for example, if I have not assembled all the raw material, I cannot start the production. So production activity is completely dependent upon which activity, assembling of raw material. So in program evaluation review technique and critical path method, we identify dependency of one activity over another activity. It estimates the shortest possible time each activity will take, right? So here this method basically tells you the shortest possible time for each activity will take, and the most likely length of time and the longest time. So here we are talking about 3 types of time. As I told you, the very important part of networking technique is assigning time to each and every activity. Without assigning time to each and every activity, this method is of no use. But how do they calculate time? How do they consider this time? So here we have 3 types of time. Let's understand what are these 3 types of times. So here we have 3 types of time. The first time is optimistic time. So optimistic time is the minimum possible time required to accomplish a task, assuming everything proceeds better than is normally expected. So this is the shortest time. Optimistic time is the shortest time to accomplish a task. We consider that there is no problem at all, and everything happens even before the expected time. Everything is so efficient, every machinery, every labor, and everyone is so efficient in the process that you complete your task even before the expected time, right? So we call it optimistic time. It is too optimistic. At times we can say that too good to be true. Yeah. So this is called optimistic time. The second time of time is pessimistic time. So pessimistic time is the maximum possible time required to accomplish a task. So here we think that even if there are n number of hurdles, all the hurdles of the world are there, then also how much time this activity will take, right? We call it pessimistic time. So this is the maximum possible time. As optimistic time was the minimum possible time, pessimistic time is the maximum possible time, right? So, and the third one is most likely time. Most likely time is the best estimate of the required time, of the time required to accomplish a task, assuming everything proceeds as normal. Most likely time is the time where we consider that there are normal hurdles in the duration in the program, normal ifs and buts, and then how much time this activity is going to take to complete, right? So here we have 3 types of times: optimistic time, pessimistic time, and most likely time. So optimistic time is the minimum time required to complete a task when everything is too good. Pessimistic is maximum time required to complete the activity. It is too bad, you know, in worst of situation, how much time it is going to take. Then most likely time is with, you know, average hurdles, normal hurdles, day-to-day hurdles, how much time the activity is going to take, right? So, you know, on the basis of these three times, we do not take these three times in our question. When we start questions, we will not consider these three types of time. But what we are going to do, we are going to calculate the most likely, average time. We call it average time. So the formula for average time is P stand for pessimistic time, 4M, M is most likely time, and O is optimistic time. So we are calculating weighted average of these three types of times, you know, and we are giving highest weightage to most likely time, that is 4. That is double of O and P. You know, if you can see in the formula, P's weightage is pessimistic times weightage is 1, optimistic times weightage is 1, 1 plus 1, 2, and the most likely times weightage is double of these two, that is 4. So 1 plus 4, 5 plus 1, 6. So divided by 6. So the formula which we will apply, we call it average time, right? So the formula to calculate average time is 1 pessimistic time plus 4 most likely time plus 1 optimistic time divided by 6. So this is called average time, right? You know, this method was first introduced by US Navy in 1957, and you know, any type of method which we use in project management, these methods are developed in certain areas, certain, you know, certain areas like IT, Navy, or somewhere else. But these methods are then applicable in other forms of projects also. So similarly, this project management technique, networking technique, was first developed in Navy. But then we started applying this method in other areas of project management also. So moving forward, so this is a usual network which we prepare to do networking, to make networking technique, you know. So, you know, we start an activity, then start an activity. From this activity we go to this activity. I have just you know, given time. I have allotted times to each and every activity. From this point to this point, we need 1 day to complete this activity. You know, this arrow is basically time. Okay, this is time. Sorry, this is activity, this is the process, and to come from here, to reach from here to here, we need 1 day, right? Then from this activity, from this event, you know, this line is called activity, this arrow line is called activity, and these circles, these blue circles, are called events, right? So to go from this event to this event, we have to perform this activity, and how much time is required to complete this activity? We need 1 day here. And then we'll see again, from this event to this event, to reach from this event to this event, we have to complete an activity. This is arrow, you know, symbolizes activity. So we need 1 day. Again, to reach from this event to this event, we have to perform this activity, and to complete this activity we need 2 days. Similarly, from here, from this event to this event, to go from this event to this event, we need 2 days. Again, from this event to this event, we have to perform this activity, and we need 1 day. You know, so this is how we make. And you know, once we are done with all these these events, this one, and this one, our task would be completed, finished. You know, this is a very initial type of networking technique. Once we'll take some live example, some, you know, when you will do some questions on this topic, you will be much more clearer, right? So here, critical path is 4, but I don't want to touch it here. I will make you understand when we'll actually do a question, that how do we, you know, find a critical path here. So for time being, I'm not telling you how we have calculated this critical path. Just skip this critical path thing here, and we'll discuss this in you know, in questions when we'll do some more practical questions here. So moving forward, okay, here we have a basic understanding of what is critical path method. So critical path is the longest path of the scheduled activities that must be met in order to execute a project. So, you know, in very, very simple terms, for time being, please understand that critical path is the longest path in any network, right? It is the longest path, longest time to complete the whole project, right? So here earn value management analysis focuses on critical path and near critical paths to identify cost and schedule risk. So, you know, the method we use here is earn value management. Earn value management, we'll understand this term later on when we'll do the practical question. But for time being, just understand that critical path is the longest path in the network, right? So here in this question, what I have done is, you know, this is just an example of networking. I divided the whole project into 5 activities: A, B, C, D, and E. Right? I've divided the whole project into 5 activities, and you know, this is activity, and we can call it, you know, 1 to 2. B is 2 to 4. C is 2 to 3. D is 3 to 4, and E is 4 to 5. So activity A is, I'll just let you know what is this 1 to 2 and 2 to 4. But first understand activity A is forecasting unit of sales, right? So activity A is forecasting units of sales, and it will take 14 days of time. Activity B is pricing sales, and it will take 10 days. Activity C is preparing production schedules. It will take 7 days. D is costing the production. It will take 4 days. And activity E is 4 to 5, that is preparing the budget. It will take 10 days. So the whole project will take how many days? 14 plus 10 plus 7 plus 4 plus 10. It will take 45 days, right? So here what I am going to do here is, I'll just make a network here, right? So just a second. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'll just make a very small network here. So, you know, 1 to 2. Here you see, this is the network. 1 to 2. Like, you know, this is 1 to 2, right? So, this 1 to 2 is plotted here. This 1 to 2. You know, this is A. The activity was A, right? This was A. This A was activity. So, I have written A here, okay? And 1 to 2 in the circles because this is event. 1 and 2 are events and A is activity, right? So 1 to 2, how much time it was supposed to take? See here, 14 days, right? So here I have written 14 on the arrow, okay? So then from 1 to 2, 1 and 2 is the event and A is the activity, and it will take 14 days. Then next is, let's see, this is activity B. Activity B is 2 to 4, right? So 2 to 4, let's continue. So this is 2 to 4. Here you see 2 to 4. And how much time it was supposed to take? 2 to 4, 10 days. And it is activity B. So B and 10 days. Here I have mentioned. Always write time on these arrow lines, on the activity line, right? Then the next one is C, activity C, and it is called 2 to 3, and it will take 7 days. So 2 to 3, 7 days. Here you see 2 to 3. 2 to 3, right? And it is supposed to take 7 days. Fine. Then next is activity D. Activity D is 3 to 4 and time is 4 days. So 3 to 4. Now from 3 I will go to 4 here like this. 3 to 4 and the time is 4 days. Right? Then the last activity is E, and this is called 4 to 5 and it is supposed to take 10 days. So 4 to 5 here like this, and it is supposed to take 10 days. Right? So what I have done, I have made a networking, a network here of all the activities, and I have also assigned time to all the activities, right? As you can see. So whenever you make a network, it is very, very important that you allot time to each and every activity. Without assigning time, it is not possible to complete, it is not possible, it is not, useful to make a network, right? So now this is called PERT. This network which we have prepared here is called PERT. Project Evaluation and Review Technique. This is the network which we have prepared, right? Then next thing here is to identify CPM, critical path. So as I told you that critical path is the longest path. Okay, so longest path in the network. So we'll see how we will complete. There are different paths we can identify in this network, like from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, and 4 to 5. So the first path we have identified is 1 2 2 2 to 4, 4 to 5, right? So what is the time if we'll go by this path? So 14 plus 10 plus 10, right? So this is 34. So this path is taking how many days? 34 days, right? Now we'll identify another path. So another path is 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and 4 to 5, right? This is another path which we have identified. So I'll just write it here. 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, right? So this is another path which we have identified in this network. So 14 plus 7, 21, 27 plus 4, 31, 31 plus 10, 41, right? 14 plus 7, 21, 21 plus 4, 20, no, 35, sorry, this is 35, not, this is 35. So the longest path is the second one, this one. So this is your critical path, okay? So this is your critical path in this network. Okay, so now we are starting with the one practical question of networking technique. So this is the question given to you. So we are given activities. Okay, so the activities are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and to complete each activity there is a duration given to you. So duration is 8. You can consider it probably in days, right? So in question it would be given to you that how many days or maybe hours or maybe weeks whatsoever would be given to you, right? So to complete activity A, there is a time of 8 hours or 8 days. Let's take it as days. B, activity 8 days. C, 9. D, 3. E, 6. F, 2. G, 7. H, 6. And I, 0. Okay. Then For each activity, there is a preceding activity given to you. Okay. So for activity A, there is no preceding activity. For B and C also, there is no preceding activity given to you. So it means for first three activities, there are no preceding activities. So for the activities where no preceding activity is given, it means these three are the first activities, right? Then for D, the preceding activity is A. For E, the preceding activity is B. For F, preceding activity is C. For G, preceding activity is D, E, and F. For G, there are three preceding activities. For H, there is one preceding activity C, and for I, there are two preceding activities, that is G and H. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a network, right? So let's see how we can make a network. Okay, so here I'll make a network. Now you see that for activity A, B, and C. So now, if you remember I discussed with you that activity should be, written on arrows, right? So here events are not given to you, activities are given to you, and activities should be marked on arrows, right? So A, B, and C, for A, B, and C, there is no preceding activity, right? So what I'm going to do is, there is a start activity, there is start of the activity like this. So there are three activities for which there are no preceding activities. So A, B, and C, right? So this is A, this is B, and this is C, right? For for each activity there is an start event and there is an end event. So here A starts with this circle and ends with this circle. Again, for B also, there would be one start event and one end event. So we can write it like this: B and C, right? Next, we have D. For D, the preceding activity is A. So it means where A ends, we will start D. It means from here, like this. So here I can write D. Okay, so simultaneously also I will write the durations of A, B, and C also. So for A is 8, 8, and 9. So A is taking how much time? 8. For B, again it is 8. For C, it is 9. Okay. Duration. For D, the duration is 3. So I'll write 3 here. Okay. Then next activity is E. For E, the preceding activity is B. So it means where B will end, I'll start E. So B is ending here. So from here, I will start E. This is E. Okay. So this is E. And the duration for E is 6. So here I will write 6. Okay, like this. Then next is F. For F, preceding activity is C. So where C is ending, I'll start F. Okay. So here I will write F. 2, like this, right? Okay. Now next is G. So here if you see, for G there are 3 preceding activities, D, E and F. It means G will start where D, E and F will end. But if you see in the network, D, E and F are ending at different points. So we cannot start G. So, for G, what we need to do is we need to end D, E and F at one common point. So now here I will make a difference. I will end D, E and F at one common point. So I'll just make few changes in the network here. So this D and F I'm changing. I will end it all together. Okay. So D will also end here and F will also end at the same point like this. Okay. And I'll write their durations. D3, this is 3 and this is 2. Right? Now where D, E and F are ending, I will start here G. So this is G. And the duration of G is 7. I'll write 7 here. Like this. Then H. The preceding activity of H is C. So it means where C is ending, I'll start H from there. So C is ending here, right? So what I can do, here, I can write H, okay? And the duration is 6. So here I'm writing 6, right? Next is I. The preceding activity of I is G and H. So it means I will start where G and H will end. It means G and H should end together. But what I have done in the question, I have ended G and H at different points. So again, I have to make changes here. So I will combine G and H. So I'll just, make a little bit of change in the network. So I'll write F here instead of writing it down. So here, this is H. I have to end H and G all together. So here, time for H is 6, like this. And where G and H are ending, here I will start I, right? So this is I. And the duration for I is 0. So I'll just write 0 here, like this, right? So this is how I have prepared a network, right? Now the next thing I can do is I can, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I is basically the activities given to you. So these circles are vacant if you can see. So in these circles I can write numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, right? So this is how I have prepared my network. Then so here I have given numbers to all the events also. Now the next thing I need to do So this is, this is your PERT, this is your network. Now the next thing I need to do is to find critical path, right? CPM, critical path method. I need to identify the maximum time needed to complete the whole task. So CPM, I will identify different ways. So the first way is 1 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to 6, and 6 to 7, right? So 1 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to 6, and 6 to 7. Now I will see how much time is taking this path. So 1 to 2, 8, 8 plus 3, 11, 11 plus 7, 18, 18 plus 0.
18.
So this is 18. One path is this. Now I will identify second path. The second path can be 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 6, and 6 to 7. I'll just write it here. 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7. Now I'll see how much you know time is required.
21.
Okay, so this is 21. So second path is taking 21, time of 21 weeks. Then third path is 1 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and 6 to 7. I'll write it here. 1 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7. So how much time?
18.
Okay, 18. It is taking 18 weeks, right? Then next path is 1 to 4, 4 to 6, and 6 to 7. 1 to 4, 4 to 6, and 6 to 7.
15.
15. So here the longest path is this second one, right? 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 6, and 6 to 7, 21. So this is your critical path, right? So to complete this whole task, you need at least 21 weeks, right? You cannot take the smallest one, because if you will take the smaller one, like maybe 18 or 15, then some of the tasks would remain unaccomplished. That's why we have to take the longest path, so that all the events, all the activities should get completed, right? So now on the basis of whatever we have discussed in networking technique and PERT and CPM, we'll understand the difference between PERT and CPM. So the first difference between PERT and CPM is PERT technique is based on events, right? So PERT is basically an event based approach. Events are like 1 to 2, which we have discussed. I'll just show you again. So here PERT is this event based, like 1 to 2. PERT focus on 1 to 2, 2 to 5. But CPM is based upon these activities like A, duration, D, E, G, I, right? Then next difference is orientation. PERT is result oriented process, and CPM is process oriented. So in PERT, the major the orientation of PERT method is to find how much time is going to take the whole process. But in CPM, we focus more upon the process, like which path is the most critical path. So PERT focus more upon result, that how much time it is going to take. It does not focus upon each and every activity. But CPM focuses upon process, right? Like which process is the best one. Then next is cost time estimation. So a technique of planning and control of time. So here, PERT focuses more upon time. how much time it is going to take. But CPM focus upon both cost and time. How CPM is going to focus more upon time depends upon, you know, there is another set of questions which we will discuss later on. Then you will be able to understand that how PERT and CPM will help you to minimize cost and time. So here it is, in nutshell, we can say that PERT is only about planning and control of time. It can only tell you how much time the whole process is going to take. But CPM focuses upon how to control cost and time. It focuses upon how to reduce cost and time. But how it is going to do it, there is another set of questions. We call it crashing questions that we'll discuss later on. That question basically helps you to understand how to reduce cost and time. So that we'll discuss later on. But for time being, just understand that PERT is only about planning, but CPM focuses upon reducing time and cost also. Then evolution, it evolved as research and development project. So it was PERT was basically started for research purposes, that how to manage time, how to process the whole activity. But CPM was about construction, like how to implement actually. So it is more of theoretical method, but CPM is about implementation. Then this model is probabilistic. PERT is more of a probabilistic model, like you know first we can do this, second we can do this, third we can do this, or maybe we can alter a little bit. But CPM is deterministic because it will tell you the exact path. It will tell you the path, that first this should be done, then this, third this, fourth this. Then only you will be able to you know implement your whole project on time. So it is more because it is of planning stage. Planning requires lots of probabilities. That's why it is a probabilistic model. But CPM is not about planning, it's about implementation, right? So when something is about implementation, it is more deterministic. Then PERT majorly focuses upon time, but CPM focus upon time and cost both. Because PERT is only making a network. They will just tell you this much time would require to complete activity 1, this much time is required to complete activity 2, and so on. But CPM would tell you a combination between time and cost. And how CPM will tell you time and cost, for this we will be doing another set of questions. That time you will be able to understand. Then estimate, here three time estimates are there. Like I told you that there are three types of times: optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely. So it focuses upon three types of times. But in case of CPM, we do not consider these three times. We just consider one time, that was average time, which we have calculated with the help of the formula. The formula I have shared with you. So this was the formula which we discussed. So PERT focuses upon three types of times: probable, pessimistic, optimistic, and most likely. But CPM focuses upon this formula, the average time, P plus 4M plus O divided by 6, right? Then next is appropriate for high precision time estimate. When you want to calculate time to complete an activity, then we use PERT. But when this is for high precision, it means accuracy is very very high. But here reasonable time estimate, it means there may be a little bit of up and down in the time, because time can change. Why time can change? Because we want to reduce time and cost. We will try to identify a trade-off between time and cost. That's why precision may be a bit hampered in case of CPM. Then management of unpredictable events, because you are identifying activities, you are trying to put the activities in proper flow. So here activities can be a bit unpredictable. But when you reach to CPM, when you identify the critical path, then obviously the time have already, the activities are already predefined, so these are more predictable activities. Nature of jobs, non-repetitive, because once you have identified the activities, you will just put them in order. But so they are non-repetitive. But in case of CPM, these are repetitive, because so many number of times we have calculated critical path, and we chose the best path. So many paths we derived, and out of all those paths we identified the critical path, the path which is taking the longest time. So this is repetitive in nature. Then critical and non-critical activities. In PERT, it doesn't matter which activity is critical, but in CPM, critical activities are identified. So I'll just show you again. So here, this path was the critical path: 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 6, and 6 to 7. So all the activities in this path are critical activities, right? So for example, activity 4 is not there in this path. So it means activity 4 is not critical, but these activities are very, very critical, very important activities. Critical activities are those activities which should not get delayed at all. Otherwise, the whole process would get hampered. So, I'll just show you with an example. Like, here, as per this network, activity 2 and activity 4 are missing in this critical path. It means activity 2 and 4 are not critical, but 3 is critical. Why 3 is critical? You can see in the network that 2 to 5, 3 to 5, and 4 to 5, these three activities are going simultaneously, right? When these three activities are going simultaneously, so here D is taking time of 3 weeks, E 6, and F 2. It means the maximum time is 6 weeks to complete. Till the time these three activities would not get completed, you cannot start the process. It means even if D and F may get delayed, I mean, this 3 week can take 4 week also, then also there is no harm because the overall time is 6 weeks, right? So it means for D and F, a little bit of delay is allowed. But in case of E, there is no delay allowed, right? So that's why this D and F, or we can say 2 to 5 and 4 to 5 are not critical activities, but 3 to 5 is critical, right? Hmm. So next is suitable for PERT is suitable for research and development projects, but CPM is suitable for non-research projects like civil construction, shipbuilding. So majorly PERT is used for research purposes, but CPM is used for the activities which are more of um, for implementation or something, right? Then the last difference is crashing. Crashing, we in PERT there is another set of questions of crashing that we'll discuss in next class, how to do crashing. But for the time being, just understand that in PERT there is no crashing, but in CPM there is crashing. But I'll let you know what is crashing all about in later on classes, because if I'll explain you today, you won't be able to understand, right? So these are the differences between PERT and CPM. Okay, so class, we are starting next type of question in PERT and CPM. So in this question, if you can see, we are given three types of times: optimistic time, most likely time, and pessimistic time. So we have already discussed that there are three types of times, right? And with the help of these three types of times, we need to calculate average time. So let us first recall what was the formula to calculate average time from these three types of time: optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic time. So here, I'll just show you the formula. So here it is the formula. If you remember, the formula was pessimistic time plus 4 into most likely time plus optimistic time divided by 6. So this was the formula as per weighted average. Okay. So we have given the maximum weightage to most likely time, double of P plus O, right? So this is the formula which we are going to apply to calculate average time. So this is the formula for average time. Okay. So yes, now so here we have applied the formula for expected time, or you can say average time, whatsoever you can call it. So the formula I have just shown you, uh, TO plus 4TM plus TP. It means 4 plus 7 into 4. Just write it, just a second. So the formula is TO, 4 plus 7 into 4, that is most likely time. So 7 into 4 is 28. 28 plus 16, okay, divided by 6, right? So 16 plus 4, 20, 20 plus 28 is 48, 48 divided by 6 is 8, right? So this is how we have calculated expected time or average time, or the symbol is TE, right? So similarly, we have applied the same formula for each of the activity, right? So 1, I'll just show you for one more activity. 1 plus 5 fours are 20 plus 15 divided by 6. So 21 plus 15 divided by 6 is so this is 21 plus 15 is 36, 36 by 6 is 6. So you know the same formula we have applied for all the activities, and this is how we have calculated average time or expected time, you can say, and the symbol is TE. You know, once you will be done with all the average time, you will calculate, once you will calculate the average time for all the activities, right? Once you will be done with the average time of all the activities, you can go for the network, right? So now let's see how we can make a network. So for that, first we need all the activities like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. All the activities are given to us, and then their preceding activities are also given to us. These are the preceding activities, okay? So with the help of these activities, let's first make a network. So let's see, there are two activities A and B, and A and B do not have any preceding activity, right? It means the activities which do not have any preceding activity, they are the first activities, okay? So this is how I will start. So here, from here A, and from here we'll get B, right? A, and this is B, okay? Let's move forward, backward. So next is C. C and D. C and D both have the preceding activity as A. So it means where A and C and D will start, okay? So this is the end point of A. So from here we get C and D, okay? So C and this is D. Here it will end like this, right? Now next is E. So E's preceding activity is C. It means wherever C will end, from there E will start. So here we can start E where C is ending, okay, like this, right? Next, see, next is F. F's preceding activity is D. So where D will end, we will start F. So here we can start F. Okay, so one thing you have to see, when you make a network, already see which two activities or three activities have to end together. For example, E and F. E and F are the preceding activities of H. It means we have to, end E and F all together. I can do it right now also, but then I have to again, erase my network and make it again. So, to save my time, what I'm doing, I'm already seeing that where two activities are ending together. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to end E and F together, because later on I would need E and F together, so that I can make H from there, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to end E and F together here. Okay. So from here we have F. Instead of making a straight line here like this, right? I'm not going to make it like that. I'll just end it here like this together, so that later on I don't have to remake my network. Okay. So I'll just erase it from here. So this is F. Okay. This is F. So now let's see what next activity is there. Okay, so the next activity is G. G will start where B ends. So I will start G from here. Okay. So here I'll make G like this. Right. Then next is H. H will start where E and F will end. So where E and F are ending, I will start H from there. Okay. So here I will start H. Right. Next we have I. I's preceding activity is G. Okay. So where G is ending, I will start I from here. So I can make I like this, right? But then what would be the problem? We will have two endpoints, H and I. And in a network, there has to be only one starting point and one endpoint. So, to avoid confusion, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to end I like this here, because this is the last activity. I cannot leave my network with two ends, right? So, I'll just erase it. So, this is I. This is activity I. Now, I will allot timings to all the activities which I have already calculated. Okay. So this is the time, right? So one more thing is there. For each activity, I have already given, these numbers also. Although you can do it at your own also, I have already given them numbers. So I'll just allot numbers first. Then I will allot timing. So A is 1 to 2. So this is 1 and this is 2. Then B is 1 to 3. So this is 1 and this is 3. Then next is 2 to 4. C is 2 to 4. So this is 4. D is 2 to 5. So this is D, 2 to 5. Then we have E, that is 4 to 6. E is 4 to 6. So here I have given 6. Then I have F. F is 5 to 6. So this is F. Oh, sorry, I have already given 5 to 6. Then F, G. G is 3 to 7. So this is 3 to 7. Right. Then I have H, 6 to 8. So this is 6 to 8. And I is 7 to 8 already done, 7 to 8. Right. So I have allotted time to all the events. Right. So this straight line is activity and these circles are events. Right. After allotting numbers to all the events, now I will give timings. So for timings, I will allot these timings, average timings, which I have calculated, right? So A is 8. So here I will write 8. Then we have D. D is 6. Here I will write 6. Okay. Then I have C. C is 14. This is 14. D is 5. So this is 5. Then we have E. E is 11. This is 11. F is 7. Then we have G. G is 11. This is 11. Then we have H. H is 4. I is 18. So I'll write 18 here. Okay. So this is how I have provided times to each and every activity. Right. Now the next thing I need to do is I have to calculate critical path. So for that, I'll just show you the process. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to divide all the events into two parts. Right. So this is how I'm going to divide all the events into two parts. So this is the first half is earliest start time, EST. We call it earliest start time. Okay, this is EST. And the second half of all the activity events is LST, latest, no, we call it earliest occurring time and latest occurring time, LOT. Not start, we'll write it as earliest occurring time and latest occurring time. So what is the meaning of earliest occurring time and latest occurring time? So earliest occurring time is the time that how early an activity can get started. Okay. And latest occurring time is the time even if there is a minor delay or maybe major delay, how much delay is allowed, right? So earliest occurring time is how early an activity can start, and latest occurring time is if there is any delay, how much delay is allowed, right? So here, the first activity, the first event starts with always 0 because the first event starts with 0, right? 0 time. So the first event starts with 0. Now with this 0, I will continue my path. Now I'll just first divide all the activities into two events into two parts: earliest occurring time and latest occurring time. Okay. So here I have divided all the you know events into two parts: earliest occurring time and latest occurring time. So the first events earliest occurring time is 0. Now 0 plus 8, this earliest occurring time plus the duration of this activity. So 0 plus 8 is 8, right? We can also call it, for example, this activity is 1 to 2, right? 1 to 2. It means we call it, the first one is called I and the second one is called J, if you want to make it in the form of a formula, right? So we call it earliest occurring time of activity A, I, plus duration, we call it duration, what we write on this activity line, okay, duration of activity, duration of ij, I and j, right? So you can see earliest occurring time of I is 0, 0 plus duration of ij, यानी कि duration of 1 and 2 is 8. So 0 plus 8 is 8, right? So this is the formula. Although you don't have to always write the formula, you can just, solve it. So 0 plus 8 is 8. Now again 0 plus 6. Now I'm going to apply the same formula for all the activities, all the events, right? So 0 plus 6 is 6. Then this 8 plus 14 is 20. So this is 20, right? 8 plus 5 is 13. 6 plus 11 is 17. This is 17. Now, okay, now you see, this is activity, this is event 6. You can come to event number 6 from 4 also, 4 to 6, and from 5 to 6 also. Now I have to choose which path I need to use. So, here when I am moving forward, I will choose the longest one. Why? I'll just tell you. See, these two activities, 4 to 6 and 5 to 6, these two activities are running simultaneously, right? It means these two activities have to finish all together. Then only we can continue forward. For example, for 4 to 6, how much time is required? 20 plus 11, that is 31. And for 5 to 6, we need 13 plus 7, 20. If I will write 20 here, then also I have to wait for 4 to 6 to get completed, right? We have to wait. So what I'm going to do, I will pick the largest one, the bigger one, because even if I take the smaller one, I have to wait for this activity to get completed, right? So I will take the greater one. So 20 plus 31 or 11, that is 31, right? This is 31.
वो 22 होगा.
Okay, so here 8 plus 14 is 22. This is 22, right? So 22 plus 11 is 33, right? So I'll write 33 here. So here this is 33. Now again, I will take 6 to 8 or 7 to 8. And again, I will pick the greater one, because again, if I'll pick the smaller one, I have to wait for the other activity to get completed. That's why I will pick the greater one. So 33 plus 4 is 37, and 17 plus 18 is how much? It is 35. So I will pick the greater one, that is 37. So this is 37, right? So if you can see, I have calculated earliest occurring time of all the activities. Now I have to calculate latest occurring time also, like how much delay is allowed. For that, I will go backward now. Earlier I was going forward. Now I will go backward moving. So how I'm going to do it? So the last activity, I will see the last activity. The earliest occurring time of the last activity is also the latest occurring time, right? So this is also 37. This is 37. Now I will go backward. So the first thing you need to remember is from 8 I can only go to 7 first. You cannot go to 6 first, because in certain networks 7 and 6 are also connected. That's why I'm telling you that first move to the immediate preceding activity. So 37 minus 18. I will move to 7 first. 37 minus 18 is 19. So I will write 19 here. Now I will move to 6, because 7 and 6 are not connected, so there is no problem at all. But in certain cases they may be connected. So first I have to go to the previous activity. So 37 minus 4 is 33. This is 33. Now I will minus it. Earlier I was adding it. When I was moving forward I was adding. Here I have to deduct. So there is, when you are going backward, what would be the formula? This LOT of J LOT of J minus duration of Ij. Okay, so this would be the formula which I am applying. So 37 minus 4 is 33. Now I will go to, from 6 I will go to 4. So 33 minus 11, 22. This is 22. Okay, so from 6 I will move back to 5. 33 minus 13, this is 20. Here I will write 20. Now to reach back to 2, I have two paths. From 4 also I can move to 2, and from 5 also I can move to 2. Here I will take the smaller one. When I was moving forward I took the greater one, but when I am moving backward I will take the smaller one. So 22 minus 14 is 8, and this 20 minus 5 is 15. So I will take the smaller one. So 22 minus 14, 8. I will take the smaller one. So here I have written 8. This is, now I have to calculate 3. So 19 minus 11 is 8. So here I will write 8. Now to reach back to 1 I have two paths. From 2 I can go back to 1, and from 3 also I can go back to 1. So 8 minus 6 is 2, and 8 minus 8 is 0. So I will take the smaller one. So I took 0, right? Okay, so here is a small error. So this is 33 minus 7 is 26. I wrote 20. That is wrong. This is 26. But overall it is not affecting our result. So the answer got right. But yes, this is one correction. So 33 minus 7 is 26. But again 26 minus 5 would be 21. So the answer is although right, but still this is an error. Okay. So this is how we have calculated our network. So now I have to calculate critical path. For critical path, the first thing I need to calculate is slack. The term which I'm using here is slack. Okay. The formula to calculate slack is LOT minus EOT. Okay. So for each event, I have to calculate slack. So 0 minus 0 is 0. 8 minus 8 is 0. 22 minus 22 is 0. 26 minus 13 is 13. So here we have slack of 13. So basically slack is how much extra time I have to complete an activity. So here I have 13 extra time, whatever 13 weeks or hours, whatever is given to you. 8 minus 6 is 2, slack is 2, 19 minus 17 is 2, 33 minus 33 is 0, and 37 minus 37 is 0. So here you can see that there are three activities or events, we can say 5, 3 and 7. Here we have a slack of certain numbers, but there are other activities like 1 to 2, 4, 6, 8. These activities have slack 0. So the activities which have slack 0, they are critical activities, right? The activities, I'm just repeating again, the activities which have 0 slack, they are critical activities. Why do we call them critical activities? Because these activities are so important that no delay is allowed. In event 5, 3 and 7, there is a minimum delay is allowed, like 13, 2 and 2. But in case of rest of the activities, there is no delay allowed, right? Because earliest occurring time and latest occurring time is same, right? So these are critical activities. So when we connect all the critical activities, like I'll just show you, 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6 and 6 to 8, right? So these are the activities which are critical. And when we connect all the critical activities, it becomes our critical path. Okay, critical path. I'm writing it as CP, that is critical path. So this is the critical path of this network, right?